Hello, my name is Rodrigo Espinoza. During the last 3 weeks at UPES University in our BA and ELT, we've been working on a task on task-based teaching, focusing on writing and speaking. And we've been asked to describe an activity. As a requirement for one of the subjects named oral and written expressions didactics, we were required to record this video in which we explain a class that we had, as we should plan for one of our classes, one with positive results, that despite the positive results did not work as planned. It's kind of quite complicated to get ahead with this, but then I'm gonna try this out. Coincidentally, last week we returned to face-to-face classes at the faculty I work for, so I had the chance to practice this crazy idea. I didn't plan this; it just came up. One of my classes is related to the unnatural activities employees have to perform within companies. There are times when accountants, for example, have to perform managerial or human resources activities. To refer to these situations or employees, I use term to refer to them is multitaskers or multitasking. The class presentation was a presentation production practice activity. Nevertheless, I will dare to say that a change made at the beginning of the class turned it into a more task-based activity, and I will try to explain why. As I was handing out a document with an image and a few definitions of multitasking, an idea came to my mind. And instead of asking students to read it and answer 3 simple questions from the handout, I asked the students to draw the image on the handout as the main activity, explaining it was a different activity. These were the instructions for students. We usually just do something different, but today I want you to draw an image you have in the paper I gave you. You can use anything to do the drawing, okay? Some students were reluctant to draw. They said they're not good at drawing, etc. I encouraged them to do the task. I told them it was fun, it would be easy. Students were also asked to, and when you finish, please answer the questions on the board. You can use a dictionary or your notes, but not your cell phone. You can also ask your classmate questions about the vocabulary on the paper, but only in English, and you cannot walk around the classroom. As we still are under the coronavirus contingency, it was the perfect excuse to have students talking and asking each other the questions loudly. I mean, looking for meaning of words, not the answers for the questions. The 3 questions were kind of already answered. There were 3 questions, 2 responses, and the questions were closely linked to the information in the speech bubbles in the handout. The students were also asked to share the questions and answers with their classmates, and students were asked to describe what multitasking is in their own words using examples. I can say it turned out to be different from a presentation production practice type of activity since it was unplanned, but not without direction. I managed to guide students to complete the task. Like when you have a lesson plan, let's say based on an activity, on a presentation that is going to be project from the computer, and the projector didn't work or the file was damaged or something like that, and you have to improvise using your experience and the resources available. Anyway, students use their own linguistic and non-linguistic resources to draw, which might not have a direct language learning inherence or influence, but it was a drawing that was the main activity, at least for the students, okay? The language part was when they had to ask each other questions about the meaning that they didn't know for words in the paper, or to the teacher where they asked for the Spanish translation, but it was not given like that. So instead of that, I used gesture or gave a description for the word. At this stage, and despite the unplanned task, the students had and were urged to use their linguistic resources by asking questions like, how do you say juggling, for example? That's the word that was in the paper in Spanish. What does juggling mean? Can I borrow the dictionary? Teacher, can you help me? I didn't tell them these questions. I prompt some ideas. I told them they can look for the questions we usually use in the classroom when they need help, and these are the sort of questions they use. Okay. In general, I can say that I do not recommend teachers to do this type of activity. I mean, not these sort of unplanned things, okay? What I can recommend for teachers is to try different activities where students' participation gets to be more natural, as I did in this specific class, which if I had planned it, it would have delivered a better result regarding the language learning process. Why can I say this or with some writing preparation for the student's description activity was successful? Well, first, as unplanned as it was, the students managed to communicate, which became the communicative purpose for the task. And the gap to be filled were the questions to be answered, but primarily or mainly the description of the term multitasking using their own words, which was the teacher's main goal. I mean, cover for students whom I believe thought the drawing was the main goal, since I walk around making comments and giving ideas and for their drawings, but at the same time checking their writings about multitasking. Learners use their own linguistic and non-linguistic resources as and communication, either topic related or about the drawing. Students communicated to some extent, and that was the main point. I hope this information gives an idea of what I intended to describe, which was a class that that I had planned for one of my classes with positive results, that despite the positive results did not work out as planned, because I didn't actually plan this lesson. I just came to my mind from the lessons I took in the previous weeks at the university. Well, the planned lesson didn't work as planned since it was modified, but the results were still positive since the students, first of all, they enjoyed the class. It was something different, and then they managed to communicate the purpose of that I wanted them to do, with mistakes, of course, and the natural inconveniences of low-level language learners. And the teacher's crazy idea was, can I say, successful? I will dare to say productive. Thanks for watching. And as they say on these crazy TV shows, don't try this at home. Well, teachers, do not try unplanned lessons. Do different activities. Students will notice the difference, but plan beforehand. My name is Rodrigo Espinoza. I'm a student at the Universidad Pedagógica del Estado de Sinaloa. See you next time.